Hey guys, so I wanted to just take a little walk together and talk about why people become so calloused and hate. Hate is a strong, strong word. It actually means to loathe or despise, something despicable, something that's disgusting. So think about that when this word is being thrown around. And in light of Charlie Kirk's death and so many other deaths going on around the nation and the world, war and violence and all of that, I think it's just really important, especially for Christ followers or anybody of the faith, that when we're looking at something like this and we're passionate, our words hurt. They really do. And they not only sting, but they can really damage people for life. Obviously we just saw the repercussion of words coming from a man that I believe meant well. Did he say everything correctly? Did he say everything politically correct? Did he say everything that every liberal or conservative or whoever else in between would have liked? No, absolutely not. Neither do you. Neither do I. That's just the power of conditioning and programming and the level of awakening that we're at. Everybody has a level of understanding. Always keep that in mind. I would encourage you to always keep that in mind when you look in the mirror, when you're addressing something on social media. It's real easy to throw hate-filled words out or passionate words or anything in between. I'm really, especially nowadays, I'm pretty careful on what I try to post and do it from a level-headed space and not try to shout at people. I used to, of course, but then I grew. I expanded. I grew up some more. And so then I learned that, wait a minute, me blasting somebody in all caps or exclamation marks is only going to widen the gap. It's going to widen the gap, and it's going to create more divide. So when somebody blasts my face off on social media, I try to respond in love because that's what I carry in my heart. Now, if I was still conditioned and wounded and traumatized to the degree that I was, then yeah, I'm going to spew anger and resentment and everything else right back. But I've grown more in Christ-like love than ever before, and still growing, still learning. I still make mistakes. I still say stupid things and things that I regret. But for example, a post this morning that I responded to on a friend's page, and I'm learning more not to really even engage in that when things are hot and heated, because it's only going to wind up in an argument or a debate most of the time. But I responded, and I did it in love. Somebody jumped on and said, well, at least Charlie's kids doesn't have to listen to his hate anymore, his hate-filled speech anymore. And I just simply responded, wow, just wow, And no words, Keep in mind, again, what I just mentioned before about levels of understanding. At some point, we are going to awaken a little bit more and a little bit more. Do we want to regret the things that we actually blasted somebody's head off with? With our words? Do we want to live in regret for that? Because think about it. You're not the same person you were a year ago. Neither am I. None of us are. Some people love to keep things the same, and so they try to keep their understanding or their wisdom or their routines the same. But literally, you are not the same. Figuratively speaking, literally speaking, you don't have the same body as you did last year. You don't have the same mentality all the way. You may have some similarities, or most similarities, but you have changed somewhat. You've changed your opinion, you've changed your mind, you've changed your stance on certain things, you've changed the way you look at things in certain areas, and so is everybody else. So when somebody becomes so callous to where it's psychopathic, sociopathic. It means that they've been traumatized to the point where they feel no compassion or empathy towards anyone. That is really the definition, one of the definitions of psychopathy, is that when you've lost all empathy and compassion, and you can just say something like, oh, I'm so glad this guy got killed or anybody else got killed, and then you start laughing about it, that is psychopathy. And that comes from a deep woundedness, a deep trauma that just shut off all empathy because it was the retaliatory mindset that said, okay, you're going to burn me, watch how much I hurt you. And then the war goes on internally. It continues to multiply, and then we have what we have today. People with zero compassion, zero empathy, zero mercy. And then here's the interesting part about this, is that it twists around they believe that it is true. See, a narcissist, a full-blown narcissist, will never admit that they're wrong. They think that they're always right. So when you have that type of example, and then they come out and they say, oh, I'm glad he's dead, and zero empathy, they truly believe that somebody like Charlie Kirk the world is better off without him, right? Well, tell that to his kids, tell that to his wife, tell that to the people that love him, or anybody else like Charlie on either side of the political coin. I'm talking about any life. The war in Ukraine and Russia, tell the family of the soldiers that got offed unalived. You know what I mean? Anybody in Chicago, anybody in a rough neighborhood or a rich neighborhood, it doesn't matter. It's a human life. And so when people are posting because they really can't, they're in disbelief that somebody could just get assassinated by sharing their freedom of speech, and you have all this hate coming out, well, you can see how the degradation has happened by people not dealing with their inner traumas, their inner woundedness, and then they believe the lie that they believe that is true. Like saying that the world is better off without them, right? That's a complete fabricated lie. That is not true. If it was true, then everybody would see it a little bit differently than they do, right? If it was true, then his family would say it. Those people that love him would say it. Oh, we're better off without that guy. Man, he was a pain. No, it's not true. It's a lie. You're looking at a river right now. Is it true that you're looking at a river or not? Nah, that's not a river, John. Okay, all right. Maybe you think it's a lake. Okay, I get that. But is that water right there? Is that water? You could say it has foam in it, but that's water. That is 100% true that is water, what we're looking at right now. Green trees right there in front of me. Is that true? Well, no, they're not trees, they're giant shrubs. Okay, whatever. The sky is blue. Is it blue? Is that the sky? You know what I mean? Let's get really real, you guys. So we're in a place now of real full-blown awakening. Watch what happens now, not just in light of Charlie. He was catalyst, but this has been building up for decades, right? We're in a ripe spot in America, especially in America and around the world, but especially in America, where something has to give. And I think this is the catalyst. It's the tipping point, it's the turning point, or whatever you want to say. Not just because of one man, but it has sparked something incredible. And some people will say, we don't need more hate coming out there, the opposing side. We don't need more. What I'm saying is that we're going to see a whole awakening of unconditional love happen in the wake of this. Unconditional love. You're always going to have a mixture. You're always going to have levels of understanding. But watch the unconditional Edenic, the returning to Eden that's in and all around us. Watch what happens, not just because of one man, but because it's time. It's time, it's time, it's time. And that, my friend, is water.